Come with me on a tour of the 18th century gardens at West Park. The gardens at West Park are truly special. They dramatically showcase over 3 centuries of landscape design covering over 90 acres, containing a woodland, serpentine waterways, colorful parterres, classical statues, and elegant buildings. For over 600 years, the West Park estate was home to one of the leading aristocratic families in England, the de Greys. Today, West Park is owned by the English Heritage, which is working diligently to restore the home and gardens to their former glory. In 2011, the English Heritage embarked on a 20-year program to restore the gardens at West Park, beginning with replanting the Rose Garden and the Italian Garden. Those efforts would have also included this magnificent dahlia border garden. Although not a historical element of this garden, it is a wonderful updated and modern display of dahlias planted en masse. Dahlias tend to be beautiful and diverse. They come in a wide varieties of colors, shapes, and sizes as demonstrated here. There are over 40 species of dahlia with over 50,000 named varieties, typically blooming from midsummer to fall, making them one of the longest blooming flowers in the garden. That makes them valuable as they continue to add color for many months. Dahlia is also relatively easy to grow, even for beginner gardeners. They can be grown in a variety of soil types and climates, and they are relatively low maintenance. Although hardy, dahlias are not bulb plants and are not perennials per se. They grow from tubers that have to be lifted in the fall and stored in a cool shed or cool place over the winter months and then replanted in the spring. The border garden is a perfect entrance to West Park and hints at the beauty to be found beyond. Formal entry into West Park would have come through the Strangers Gate historically, leading you into the walled garden. Although now greatly reduced, the walled garden, which contained the kitchen garden, provided fruits and vegetables to the estate. Here's another beautiful walled border garden which has shrubs in it, fruit trees, and nice summer plants planted at this time of year in full bloom. This would be the Strangers Garden, or the garden the strangers would see as they would first approach the property. One element of the walled garden that does remain is a massive wisteria plant with vines so thick they must be held up by chains. You get how massive these vines are. Look how it's grown into the chains that's holding it there in place. You can think about the metric tons of vinage that are here and how many years this vine has been growing in this location. It's a very sturdy stone wall, so you have to be very careful when you run vines of this size to make sure that the wall can support it. This is a massive brick wall to support, but it's still being held up by actual chains. Directly west of the walled garden and sitting to the east of the manor home is the Italian parterre. Originally created to be viewed from within the home out of the conservatory, the Italian parterre is a beautiful mixture of bulbs and annuals. Italian gardens are beautiful, but not necessarily for most home gardeners, as they tend to be incredibly labor intensive to recreate the look perfectly. For those up to the challenge, the outcome can be stunning and extremely beautiful. West Park has so many wonderful highlights. There are so many different garden styles: the Italian garden, the walled garden, the French parterre, but also a conservatory which has been wonderfully restored. The first thing that catches my eye are the beautiful mass of banana trees. And agapanthias here. Beautiful large agapanthias and ferns in pots. Multiple potted ferns. actual banana trees, and a false banana tree next to it. Pelargoniums, which are beautiful, commonly known as geraniums. The French parterre can be best viewed from above. Whereas the Italian garden is beautiful, the French parterre takes it to the next level, adding in even more geometric shapes and wonderful statuary. French parterres have always been my favorite garden style, but I've always found it difficult to recreate the look as a home gardener, primarily due to the fact that you use the ornamental shrubs as your border outline. And even when planted in mass or planted closely together, it could take shrubs a very long time to grow into a complete and full miniature hedge. There are multiple paths to take across West Park. I decided not to walk down the straight path, but to head through the woods. All across West Park, the hand of man is quite evident. Trees are in long rows, having been planted together in some distant past. A highlight of the woodland area in Wester Park is an American redwood. Having originally been brought over the seedling and grown in the conservatory, the tree now stands proud, high above all of the trees in the entire area. Having been developed over many centuries by multiple gardeners, owners, and aristocrats, West Park has some unique elements, such as a Chinese bridge, as also a Chinese building which stands on the property, looking somewhat out of place in the middle of the English setting. Laid out between 1706 and the early 1720s for the Duke of Kent, the wooded area, known as the Great Garden, is an example of English formal woodland garden in a French style. Coming out of the woodlands, I come upon Thomas Archer's Pavilion. Designed and built between the years 1709 and 1711, it is a focal point and viewing point for the gardens. The pavilion was built to entertain hunting parties and for occasional suppers. The great gardens of the Italian Renaissance, as well as French gardens, are the foundation for the European formal garden. There's also wonderful statuaries which reminds me of the Romans all over West Park. West Park has so many hidden and unique areas. Every path that you go down leads to something new, some other design, architectural feature. Always in perfect symmetry, always beautiful. The Evergreen Garden, installed in 1857, was commonly referred to as the American Garden due to the acid-loving plants that were found in North America that dominated the space. These plants would have included the rhododendron, holly, and azalea. Of the myriad of garden styles on display at West Park, the Evergreen Garden would be the easiest for the home gardener to replicate. For some gardeners, the lack of maintenance would make up for the lack of color, as the shrubs would only need to be trimmed occasionally and would not have to be replanted each year. Now, you don't have flowers, but you do have in this center, which look like rhododendrons, which will bloom. I'm not sure if these would be blooming in the spring and the fall, but you would have blooms here at one period during the year when these rhododendrons would be in bloom. The French-style orangery, which was built in the 1830s, would have contained French orange trees, which would have been wheeled out in the spring and returned to the orangery in the fall. There are multiple elements of West Park that are rooted in French design, such as the long water. This is very reminiscent of Versailles, as well as the United States of America's National Mall, which was also designed by a French architect. We've seen recently a beautiful rose garden at David Austin Roses. And let's see if we see some David Austin roses here, or if they have other rose varieties. Here is an older rose here. And here's the rose garden before us. Now I would expect to see a lot of beautiful English roses in this rose garden. So I would expect to see at least some varieties of David Austin roses, because they line up with the overall English rose, old rose design of this garden. Full petal rosettes. These gardens have been tightly clipped. This is Rosa Mullinex. And this is Lady Emma Harmon. And here's Mullinex. And this is the Lady of Sharon, which is a David Austin rose. Here's a Lady of Charlotte, which is another David Austin rose. As expected, I would expect to see beautiful David Austin roses here in this garden. Let's circle back here. Another Mullinex. And another Lady of Charlotte. Now around this central section is Harlow Carr. And this is the mass of the roses in this center section of this rose garden is Harlow Carr. Another David Austin rose. From a historical perspective, this would have been an orange tree out of the orangery. It would have been brought in the summer, grown oranges, and then placed back in the orangery for the winter. Hopefully this is giving you a beautiful idea of what West Park looks like. This is a beautiful garden, Old English style heritage garden. It has been beautifully restored by English Heritage. Hey, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow along. I love going to beautiful gardens, large and small, all around the world, and I would love to take you with me.